Chapter 836. 3 seats away from Xian Chanshu was a short-haired man with a pointy face. When he heard the loud laughter, his face turned ashen. As for the other 5 academies and the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, all of them came out unscathed. When it was Void Border Gate's turn, a disciple had fallen. This was simply too much of a slap to their face. Furthermore, he knew that the disciple who was killed was a disciple with great potential from the Void Border School. Such a disciple with such potential, had now fallen in the hands of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect for no apparent reason. Before the presiding cultivator could announce the start of the 10th round, a man jumped onto the stage. Xian Chanshu's laughter immediately stopped. He knew this cultivator. It was the Constellation sect's disciple, Fu Su, who killed Rainbow Fall Sword sect's core disciple, Shang Yongzhan, in the 7th round. Seeing that another person had come onto the stage, the host on the side hurriedly called out for the 10th round to begin. The many cultivators below the stage fell silent as they nervously watched the duel between Fu Su and Yu Yayan. No matter how strong Fu Su was, he had yet to reach the heaven-seated realm. As such, facing the underworld crow Ghost Rot Tan King, it was not enough. Yu Yayan had just brought out her sword Shadows and her domain had just collided with Fu Su's domain when the underworld crow Ghost Rot Tan King tore through Fu Su's domain. A few breaths later, the fully activated sword Shadow smashed Fu Su into pieces. Fu Su died even faster than Bian Peng. At the very least, Bian Peng had managed to fully extend his domain and bring out more than half of his magic treasures. As for Fu Su, he had only just brought out his magical weapon. Before he could even pose a threat, he was already killed. Yu Yayan stared blankly at the underworld crow Ghost Rot Tan King mark on her wrist. She hadn't even made a move, yet her opponent had already died. This was simply, the cultivator presiding over the match reacted quickly, and immediately sang out, Round 10, Constellation Sect's disciple Fu Su falls, Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Yu Yayan wins. Yu Yayan once again killed Fu Su in an instant. This time, the square was in a complete uproar. In the previous battles, even if one was killed, there was still a process. The 2 battles just now didn't have any process at all, and he was killed immediately. Ning Qing secretly cursed the underworld crow Ghost Rot Tan King for being an idiot. If this went on, how could he kill any core disciples? He immediately sent a message to the underworld crow Ghost Rot Tan King, asking it to restrain itself from the next fight. If he could kill them in an instant like this every time, his plan would be ruined. He wanted Yu Yayan to go up to kill the core disciples of other sections. Otherwise, he could just go up himself. Why would he need Yu Yayan? The Sword Stone Square was in an uproar, but no one was willing to go on stage to fight anymore. 2 Fate State cultivators had been instantly killed. The other cultivators weren't fools. Why would they go and get themselves killed? No one went up, but some of the sect elders and sect leaders on the main stage were discussing spiritedly. Obviously, Yu Yayan's attack had shocked everyone. She has a very powerful pet beast. It should be something like a vine. It looks like a starry sky grade 7 underworld crow Ghost Rot Tan King. Impossible. What's her cultivation? It can control a starry sky grade 7 underworld crow Ghost Rot Tan King. Using a pet beast like this is no different from cheating. That's right, this is cheating. If our sect allowed our disciples to compete with high-level pet beasts, what kind of competition would it be? Let's just have a beast fight. The various discussions on the main stage made Xian Chanshu's face turn ashen. These sects were simply too shameless. Although he also wondered why Yu Yayan was so powerful, Yu Yayan's use of plant vines to fight the enemy was completely within the rules. It had nothing to do with cheating at all. Sect Master Xian, your Rainbow Fall Sword sect really knows how to cheat. You even used such a high-level pet beast to help your disciples. What's the point of this kind of competition? If you really want to compete like this, then we might as well let our disciples use our sect's top-grade pet beasts. Universal Development Sect's elder Bao Xian, who had previously ridiculed Xian Chanshu, spoke up again. He knew that Yu Yayun's pet beast wasn't of a low level, but it definitely wasn't a Starry Sky grade 7 pet beast. Not to mention that Sifting Forest Star couldn't cultivate a grade 7 pet beast, even if it could, Yu Yayun couldn't control it. Xian Chanshu sneered, "If you don't have the guts, just say that you lost. What's the point of making such an excuse? My Rainbow Fall Sword sect lost 8 core disciples in a row, and did you hear me say half a word? Sure enough, when people are shameless, they can say anything. Now, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples have been waiting on the dueling stage for a while. Why hasn't anyone come up yet?" Bao Xian suddenly stood up and overflowed with murderous aura. "What's wrong? Is Sect Master Xian here to teach me a lesson?" Xian Chanshu's face turned a little pale. He knew that he couldn't compare to Bao Xian. But since this person dared to bully his sect, he naturally wouldn't back down. He also suddenly stood up and said, "I don't deserve to teach you a lesson. I'm just stating the facts. Perhaps Elder Bao is right. But whether my Rainbow Fall Sword sect wins or loses, there is no reason to speak of." After saying these words, Xian Chanshu felt as sullen as he could get. The reason why this fight wasn't fair was because Rainbow Fall Sword sect wasn't as strong as others. Ning Qing felt overjoyed when he saw the conflict on the main stage. Xian Chanshu, who knew that Bao Xian was looking for an excuse, could only suppress his anger and say to Yu Yayun, "Yayun, come down. The next match will not be a match between my Rainbow Fall Sword sect, but rather a match between the other academies." Yu Yayun had killed 11 core disciples in a row, and the killing intent in her heart had long since been worn down. Now that the sect master had asked her to go down, she naturally wouldn't stay up there. However, even if she wanted to go down now, it was impossible. Yu Yayun had killed 11 core disciples of the other sects, and they were all outstanding disciples. If they let Yu Yayun die just like that, how could the 6 sects swallow this anger? If the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was powerful, then it would not have mattered. However, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was such a weak faction, yet they actually dared to kill the core disciples of other factions on the dueling platform. Go down. Don't even dream about it. If your Rainbow Fall Sword sect doesn't explain the matter of cheating today, my Universal Development sect will never let it go. Bao Xian spoke up with a stern voice. Bao Xian's words immediately got the support of the other sections. Even the few eternal cultivators no longer spoke. Apparently, they wanted to force Rainbow Fall Sword sect to take the initiative to admit cheating and then punish Yu Yayun. Rainbow Fall Sword sect was a sword cultivation sect, and a sword cultivation sect naturally needed sword bones and sword aura. Xian Chanshu had been bullied for a long time. Moreover, someone still pointed at his nose and bullied him. He couldn't bear it anymore. Xian Chanshu, who couldn't stand it anymore, also slapped the table and stood up. Bao Xian, you keep saying that my Rainbow Fall Sword sect cheated. But why didn't I hear any objections from you when the other sects killed my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples? What's wrong with my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciple, Yu Yayun, having a pet? Don't you allow cultivators to have their own pet? Bao Xian gave a cold snort. If we all lend our sect's pet beasts to our disciples, what kind of fight is this? Xian Chanshu suppressed his anger and spoke up coldly, Yu Yayun is my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciple. I swear in the name of Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master that I have never handed over any pet beasts to Yu Yayun. If you insist on lending your sect's pet beasts to your disciples on the duel stage, Xian Chanshu will never say a word of nonsense. Disciples fighting on the stage, life and death are determined by fate. If you can't beat them, then come and find excuses. This isn't something my Rainbow Fall Sword sect would do. Bao Xian was at a loss for words. If their sect had a Starry Sky grade 7 demonic pet, they would have taken it out a long time ago. Unfortunately, they didn't have one. Was a Starry Sky grade 7 demonic pet that easy to cultivate? Not to mention top-grade pet beasts, they didn't even have an ordinary pet beast. Okay. An old voice arrived, and then an old man in gray robes landed on the main stage. When Xian Chanshu saw this old man, he quickly bowed. Disciple Xian Chanshu greets Elder Supreme Yu. This old man was Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's most powerful Supreme Elder Yu Bo. If it weren't for Rainbow Fall Sword Sect being forced into a corner, he wouldn't have come out of seclusion. Unfortunately, even if he came out of seclusion, it wouldn't help. A life and death cultivator, even at the full circle of the life and death realm, couldn't do anything against several eternal cultivators here. Ha, Yu Bo, you haven't made any progress after so many years of seclusion. Your Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's disciple cheated with a grade 7 Starry Sky pet beast, yet you still say it's okay. Are you trying to bully my Universal Development Sect? A man in brocaded robes stood up and stared at the old man with a cold expression. Under the suppression of his powerful aura, Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Supreme Elder Yu Bo couldn't even say a word. If one's cultivation couldn't match up to others, then no matter how much backbone one had, it would be useless. This brocaded-robed man was Universal Development Sect Master Lien Yen, an early-stage eternal cultivator. He was the one who looked for the array patterns, and he was also Liang Chuchi's master. After suppressing Yu Bo with his imposing aura, Lien Yen said to Bao Xian on the side, "Go catch the cheating disciple and confiscate his things. Strip him naked and hang him on the edge of the dueling platform as a warning." After Lien Yen said those words, the other eternal cultivators regretted not taking action earlier. That was the Starry Sky Grade 7 Underworld Crow Ghost Rattan King. How powerful would it be if they could get their hands on it? Xian Chanshu and Yu Bo's expressions changed drastically. Once Yu Yayun was stripped naked and hung up, it would also mean that Rainbow Fall Sword Sect would also be stripped naked and would no longer have a foothold in the Sifting Forest Star. The two immediately wanted to stop it. But although their cultivations weren't bad, it still wasn't enough in front of an eternal cultivator. Bao Xian had been waiting for these words. He had wanted to take action for a long time, but the sect master didn't say anything. Now that the sect master spoke up, he stepped out of the void and raised his hand to grab Yu Yayun on the dueling platform. He then spoke up in anger, "The dueling platform is a fair and just place for people, yet you cheated with your sect's guardian pet beast. I won't forgive you. Since this is a duel, I will preside over justice." A powerful imposing aura shrouded over Yu Yayun, an undead cultivator, couldn't even breathe under the suppression of such a powerful domain's imposing aura. Even the Underworld Crow Ghost Rattan King couldn't break through the suppression of this domain's imposing aura. Yu Yayun subconsciously wanted to look at Ningcheng, but she couldn't even turn her neck, let alone stretch out her spiritual consciousness. Just when Bao Xian's hand was about to grab Yu Yayun, his body suddenly stiffened. An even more terrifying pressure fell on him, and the domain around him tore apart like a rag in an instant. At this moment, his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence couldn't move at all. The only thing that could move was his consciousness. Sensing the threat of death, Bao Xian's eyes filled with horror. He wanted to scream, but he couldn't. Yu Yayun felt her body lighten, and then she saw a huge celestial essence handprint slowly stretch over. This handprint directly grabbed Bao Xian's neck and lifted him up. It was the senior apprentice brother who lent her the Underworld Crow Ghost Rattan King. Yu Yayun instantly understood, and her eyes lit up with excitement. She knew about Bao Xian, a famous elder of Universal Development Sect and a middle-stage life and death powerhouse. Yet, an invisible celestial essence handprint grabbed the neck of such a powerhouse. How powerful was this senior apprentice brother from Graceful Star Mainland? She even tried to persuade this senior apprentice brother to run away. Did he really want to escape with such strength? Sure enough, the disciples from the I Xing mainland were all extremely powerful. Junior apprentice brother Rui Baishan, whom the sect master brought back a few years ago, was also quite tyrannical. But now, this senior apprentice brother was even more powerful. No wonder the ancestral master could create the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. The ancestral master also came from graceful Star Mainland. The huge celestial essence handprint grabbed Bao Xian's neck and lifted him up. He couldn't resist and looked like a frog in the void, struggling powerlessly with his hands and feet. This terrifying scene immediately shocked everyone on the Sword Stone public square and the main platform. All the elders and sect masters on the main platform stood up one after another. Even the domain suppression that bound Xian Chanshu and Yu Bo loosened at this moment. Ning Qing stepped onto the dueling platform and looked at Bao Xian in the air before speaking with a cold voice. Did you just say that you want to be fair and just? You, a cultivator in the life and death realm, want to deal with a cultivator in the undead realm? Is that fair and just? Do you have any shame or no shame? Who said that disciples can't use companion beasts, talismans, or use their own killing methods in the duels? If you don't have the guts, then don't come here to make a fool of yourself. Trash. The celestial essence handprint in the void exerted force, and Bao Xian's entire body turned into a blood mist before disappearing without a trace. Only a ring fell in front of Yu Yayun, and Yu Yayun heard Ning Cheng's voice. This ring is for you to calm down. Yu Yayun bowed in surprise and said, many thanks, senior apprentice brother. She quickly reached out and put away the ring. How many good things did a life and death powerhouse's ring contain? Seeing Yu Yayun put away the ring of a life and death cultivator, many cultivators on the Sword Stone showed envious looks. This Dao friend, this is an internal matter of our 7 sections. Yet, this Dao friend intervened in the internal affairs of our 7 sects and even killed a life and death elder of my Universal Development sect. Isn't it a bit too unreasonable? The Universal Development sect master stood up with an ugly expression. He could see that Ning Cheng was also an eternal powerhouse, and Ning Cheng was even stronger than him. Ning Cheng stared at the Universal Development sect master coldly and asked, didn't you just say that you wanted to strip Yu Yayun and hang her up? Chapter 838. At this moment, a cyan shadow fell from the sky at the fastest speed. So what if it's me? This emperor is Lian Yen, the sect master of Universal Development sect. Lian Yen gave a cold snort. Even if he was only at the early stage eternal realm, he was still an eternal expert. No matter how strong Ning Cheng was, he was only in the eternal realm. We're both in the eternal realm, so what right do you have to talk to me like this? Besides, Ning Cheng had killed Bao Xian with a sneak attack the moment he arrived, which meant that he had already formed an enmity with Universal Development sect. As the sect master of Universal Development sect, how could he show weakness in front of Ning Cheng? Xian Chanshu didn't have the demeanor of a heaven-seated expert. After he finished speaking, he spat out a mouthful of saliva. When Lian Yan's weapon turned into a ray of Dao charm, Ning Cheng's traceless spear pattern tore apart his weapon's ray of Dao charm. An eternal cultivator's self-detonation only caused this much commotion because Ning Cheng had already sealed 90% of his celestial essence. With Chu Shisheng taking the lead, the other sects took the opportunity to play their own roles. Lan Yi used to call Ning Cheng Brother Ning before, but she didn't dare to call him that now. Not to mention that Ning Cheng was an expert on the same level as old man Kong He. Qing Min Mountain's rudeness in coming to Rainbow Fall Sword sect to cause trouble made Lan Yi tremble in fear. Lan Yi spoke up in horror, Senior has shown graciousness to Lan Yi, yet my Qing Min Mountain coveted Rainbow Fall Sword sect's mystic realm without asking about right or wrong. Please punish me, Senior. On behalf of Qing Min Mountain, this junior will comply. Xian Chanshu sneered from the side, are you trying to be reasonable at this time? When your 6 sects wanted to seize my Rainbow Fall Mystic Realm and Rainbow Fall Sword sect, why didn't anyone talk reason with you? Bah! Lian Yen felt so ashamed that he wanted to die. He was an eternal expert, yet he suffered such humiliation. As for insulting Yu Yayun before, he naturally didn't think there was anything wrong with it. In his eyes, Yu Yayun was just an undead cultivator. Even if she was stripped naked and hung up, it was still a warning. But he was an eternal realm expert. He quickly came to Ning Cheng and bowed to the ground. Many thanks for upholding justice, Senior. Otherwise, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect would have been occupied by a group of shameless people. Xian Chanshu and Yu both felt ecstatic. They didn't expect that this powerhouse was from Rainbow Fall Sword sect or even from Graceful Star Mainland's main sect. With such a powerhouse keeping watch, not to mention the Sifting Forest Star, even within the entire starry skies, no one would dare to touch the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Frightened by Ning Cheng, Chu Su Xing broke out in a cold sweat, unable to even speak a single word. When Lian Yan saw Ning Cheng appear and easily kill Bao Xian, he began to be wary of Ning Cheng. His domain had already completely protected himself. Lian Yan did not have the time to escape, when Ning Cheng's spear pattern locked him in place. The next moment, he, just like Bao Xian, was picked up by Ning Cheng. As she spoke, Guan Ruodong sent out a message. She and Lan Yi were familiar with each other and had long known about Ning Cheng's existence. Therefore, after learning Ning Cheng's name, he immediately sent a message to Lan Yi. Sure enough, she advanced to the Eternal Realm. Ning Cheng nodded. He guessed that Lan Yi didn't know about it. With Lan Yi's urgency, she must have gone into seclusion to advance to the Eternal Realm, and then went into seclusion to stabilize her cultivation. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Chu Su Xing's face turned pale. He worried that Ning Cheng would pick him up and throw him into the array flag in the next moment, leaving him to self-destruct. If they still had an excuse to make Ning Cheng speechless before, then they no longer had any excuse now. Ning Cheng had already killed them, so he didn't have to worry about using his power to oppress them. Senior, this junior is Guang Ruodong from the Blue Lake Mountain. Sect Master Chu's meaning is that this is an internal matter of the Sifting Forest Star. Even if Senior's cultivation reaches the heavens, I'm afraid it would be inappropriate for you to intervene in this matter. An early-stage life and death female cultivator came forward and spoke in a tone that was neither arrogant nor humble. Not waiting for Chu Su Xing to say that he met Xiao Jirui at a party, Ning Cheng followed up, when I went to the Devil Domain last time, I taught him a lesson and even cut off one of his arms. Do you want to help him? Lan Yi, as a new eternal powerhouse from the Blue Lake Mountain, had also held a ceremony to advance to the Eternal Realm. The other sect elders on hearing Lan Yi address Ning Cheng as senior felt even more flustered. When Ning Cheng's words came out, all the cultivators present froze. Was this powerhouse from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect? If this person was from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, it would be natural for him to intervene in this matter. Chu Su Sheng was the first to react. He immediately raised his hand and slapped the face of a heaven-seated elder next to him. Idiot, you actually listened to Universal Development Sect's words. You dare to offend a friendly sect without figuring things out. Everyone could hear that Chu Su Xing's last sentence was a show of weakness. Therefore, no one spoke up at this time. Chu Su Xing's words were the only reason they could find. That is, if you are unreasonable, we can't do anything about it. If you are reasonable, even if you are Xiao Jirui, you can't intervene in this matter. Lian Yan didn't fear Ning Cheng because he only thought that Ning Cheng was slightly stronger than him. But he didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this powerful. In a panic, he quickly brought out his weapon. Yi Jiufeng and Xiao Jirui don't dare to proclaim themselves as emperors in front of me. Yet, you, an early-stage eternal cultivator, dare to proclaim yourself as an emperor in front of me? As Ning Cheng spoke, he raised his hand and threw Lian Yan onto the dueling platform. Following that, dozens of array flags flew over, sealing Lian Yan's celestial essence and tearing off his clothes. Ning Cheng then imprisoned him on the dueling platform. Finally, a pointy-faced, short-haired male cultivator stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Ning Cheng. We all know how powerful Dao Friend is. Since Dao Friend knows Brother Jirui, then you are also an acquaintance. For a powerhouse like Dao Friend to intervene in the affairs of sifting forest stars inner sex without asking about right or wrong, isn't it a bit too much? Of course, I'm just an early-stage eternal cultivator. Dao Friend can kill me at any time, but I still have to speak my mind. Unfortunately, although both were at the early-stage eternal realm, the gap between Lien Yen and Ning Cheng was too big. The imposing aura of the two's domains collided, and Lien Yan's domain immediately shattered. He no longer had the right to speak in this space. She knew this Ning Cheng better than the average person. She had seen Ning Cheng extinguish old man Kong He's prestige and kill Fu Si, someone she couldn't even imagine. What's more, Ning Cheng had shown her kindness. Even if he didn't, Blue Lake Mountain couldn't afford to offend such a powerhouse. Ning Cheng motioned for Xian Chanshu to stand aside before speaking to Guang Ruodong. Presumably, your Blue Lake Mountain's Lan Yi is about to come out of seclusion to break through to the eternal realm, right? Go back and tell everyone in your Blue Lake Mountain that I, Ning Cheng, will take care of this matter. The elders and sect masters of the major sects started to panic. No one thought that Ning Cheng was lying. How could a powerhouse like Ning Cheng have the free time to come to this place and pretend to be a disciple of another sect? What they were thinking about was what to do next. Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had such a powerhouse, yet they wanted to occupy Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's mystic realm. Countless eyes stared at him, and Lien Yen almost went crazy. He desperately tried to burn his essence blood and longevity. But he soon discovered that although he couldn't move, he could still burn his essence blood to self-destruct. Ning Cheng didn't answer Lien Yan's words at all. Instead, his domain surged out. How could Ning Cheng not understand Chu Shusheng's meaning? He glanced at Chu Shusheng and spoke with disdain, "Are you familiar with Xiao Jirui?" Seeing Ning Cheng kill Universal Development sect master and elder in an instant, the other 5 major sex experts stood up one after another with uneasy expressions on their faces. Ning Cheng's strength was just too strong, so much so that they didn't dare to speak out against him. Chu Shusheng's soul almost jumped out of his body when he heard Ning Cheng's words. He had thought that Ning Cheng, like him, would take out experts like Yi Jiufeng and Xiao Jirui to show off. He never expected that Ning Cheng and Xiao Jirui would have a grudge against each other. Moreover, Ning Cheng even cut off one of Xiao Jirui's arms in Xiao Jirui's lair, Devil Domain. Ah! Guang Ruodong felt shocked when she heard Ning Cheng's words. She immediately bowed and said, "This junior greets Senior Ning. My Blue Lake Mountain is in the wrong in this matter and is willing to accept punishment." Ning Cheng had a good impression of Blue Lake Mountain's Lan Yi. This woman not only had a good heart, but she also gave him a very important material in exchange. However, Ning Cheng also felt unhappy that Blue Lake Mountain wanted to occupy the Rainbow Fall mystic realm. This person was Void Border Gate's sect master, Chu Shusheng, who also had early-stage eternal cultivation. Since Void Border Gate's genius core disciple fell in Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, he had made up his mind to destroy Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. However, he didn't expect that such a terrifying powerhouse would appear at this critical time. After putting on a show, he bowed to Ning Cheng and asked for instructions, willing to accept punishment. Ning Cheng ignored Guang Ruodong and spoke up in a clear voice, "I'm Ning Cheng, from Graceful Star Mainland's Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. I'm also the sect master of Graceful Star Mainland's Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Do you think I'm qualified to take care of this matter? I'm very clear about what happened today. Universal Development Sect, Constellation Sect, Scarlet Cloud Faction, Green Feather Spirit Religion, Void Border Gate and Blue Lake Mountain coveted my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Rainbow Fall Mystic Realm. That's why they came to my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect to kill our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's core disciple." Guang Ruodong's face turned red and didn't speak again. What Xian Chanshu said was the truth. They all came here to take over Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's mystic realm. But now that Ning Cheng had come out, he changed his words to reason. Boom! In front of countless onlookers, Lian Yan's body exploded into a terrifying celestial essence. He finally chose to self-destruct. Ning Cheng had arranged the entrapment formation in a hurry. Therefore, Lian Yan's celestial essence explosion not only tore the entrapment formation apart but also turned the dueling platform into nothingness. However, the Sword Stone public square didn't suffer any damage. A young female cultivator quickly walked up to Ning Cheng and bowed. "Lan Yi greets Senior Ning. Many thanks for Senior's help." He addressed Xiao Jierui as elder brother because he wanted to stick gold on his face. Even if he was also an eternal-level powerhouse, Xiao Jierui wouldn't even glance at him. He had only spoken a few words to Xiao Jierui at a random gathering. Ning Cheng looked at the group of clowns in front of him with a sneer. He really wanted to use his time will to deal with them. However, he also understood that this matter had to be handled by Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master Xian Chanshu. After all, he couldn't stay here forever. Moreover, Xian Chanshu was the sect master of this place. Since Universal Development Sect withdrew from the Sifting Forest Star, Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had to take over the mineral veins and spiritual lands left behind by Universal Development Sect. Sect Master Ning, many years ago, I met a Rainbow Fall Sword Sect disciple from the Graceful Star mainland in Grand Culmination Starry Sky. His name was Rui Baishan. Before Xian Chanshu could finish, Ning Cheng interrupted him. "Did you say that Sect Master Rui Baishan also came here?" Xian Chanshu initially thought that Ning Cheng was Rui Baishan Sr. But now that he heard Ning Cheng address Rui Baishan as Sect Master respectfully, he realized that Ning Cheng wasn't Rui Baishan Sr. He could no longer continue to call out Rui Baishan's name directly and carefully spoke up. "Yes, Sect Master Rui followed me to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect for half a year before heading to the Starry Skies alone to gain experience." Ning Cheng had some understanding of Rui Baishan. He knew that this person was a very strong person, and was very good at seizing opportunities. Rui Baishan wouldn't stay in the sect and become a dead cultivator. Ning Cheng nodded. "I'm going to leave this place. If you need anything, you can come to Grand Culmination Starry Skies Mysterious Yellow Celestial River to find me. The Mysterious Yellow Celestial River is mine, and the Mysterious Yellow Sect is a sect that I just established. If Rainbow Fall Sword Sect faces any restrictions in the future, you can go to the Mysterious Yellow Celestial River." When Xian Chanshu heard that Ning Cheng had also established his own sect, his expression turned even more respectful. He also vaguely guessed that Ning Cheng wasn't a disciple trained by Graceful Star Mainland's Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Otherwise, Ning Cheng wouldn't have established his own sect. Seeing Ning Cheng about to leave, Yu Yayun quickly came forward to thank him. She found that the vine marks on her wrists had disappeared after the fight. Ning Cheng must have taken them away. Ning Cheng then said to Xian Chanshu, "Yu Yayun is a good disciple. Give her a safe cave and focus on cultivation." Xian Chanshu naturally knew that Ning Cheng had helped Yu Yayun. But before Ning Cheng left, he specifically asked him to take care of Yu Yayun. Therefore, Xian Chanshu immediately understood that Ning Cheng had taken a fancy to Yu Yayun. Yu Yayun's current appearance would indeed arouse a man's interest, so it wasn't surprising that Ning Cheng took a fancy to her. Thinking of this, Xian Chanshu quickly said, "Sect Master Ning, rest assured. I will definitely take care of Yu Yayun." If Ning Cheng knew about Xian Chanshu's thoughts, he would have kicked him. The reason why he said those words just now had nothing to do with Yu Yayun. It was because he knew that Yu Yayun had a life and death cultivator's ring on her. If he didn't ask Xian Chanshu to take care of her, he wouldn't have helped Yu Yayun but harmed her. At this time, when Ning Cheng took out the Nirvana's heart, the celestial river flame, which had already reached the grade 6 starry sky flame, gave out a joyful screech, and the entire flame rushed towards it. At this time, Ning Cheng could only see the terrifying temperature coming from the Nirvana's heart intertwining with the celestial river flame within the flame. Ning Cheng tried to extend his spiritual consciousness inside, but just as his spiritual consciousness touched the Nirvana's heart, the terrifying heat swept away it. Ning Cheng quickly retracted his spiritual consciousness. The celestial river flame was still evolving and couldn't fully suppress the Nirvana's heart. As such, his spiritual consciousness couldn't observe it for now. Although his spiritual consciousness couldn't sweep in, Ning Cheng could clearly see that the celestial river flame was gradually converging. The vast celestial river flame seemed to have hidden itself, and the bright surface of the flame also became ordinary. If not for the flame's temperature continuing to rise, Ning Cheng would have thought that the celestial river flame wasn't evolving, but regressing. As the Nirvana's heart in the center of the celestial river flame grew weaker, the celestial river flame also became more ordinary. After an unknown amount of time, when the Nirvana's heart in the center of the celestial river flame completely disappeared, the celestial river flame turned completely dim. Was this dim celestial river flame? Ning Cheng quickly discovered the difference. If the celestial river flame before looked like a vast and boundless celestial river, then the current celestial river flame looked like an endless starry sky. Although the bright brilliance on the surface had disappeared, it still contained an endless celestial river flame. If one didn't enter this part of the starry sky, one wouldn't know what this part of the starry sky contained. While Ning Cheng was still observing the celestial river flame, the dim flame fell into Ning Cheng's palm, bringing with it a sense of intimacy. Ning Cheng's mind once again connected with the celestial river flame, and Ning Cheng immediately felt a terrifying temperature. Ning Cheng muttered to himself in shock, "Is this the celestial river flame of the god rank?" He had never used this flame before. But Ning Cheng had a hunch that this flame could burn everything in the starry sky, even the void. Compared to the starry sky flames, the god rank flame was simply too abnormal. After Ning Cheng muttered to himself, the celestial river flame unexpectedly transmitted a thought to him, "Yes, Master, I just advanced to the spirit flame realm." Ning Cheng slapped his head speechlessly. Chasing Bull, this fool, caused all his pets to call him Master. Even a flame called him Master. This must have been influenced by Chasing Bull. Chasing Bull, who was still controlling the starry sky wheel, sneezed a few times. Chapter 840. Ning Cheng felt even more certain that the Nirvana spear was made from an extraordinary material. Although the celestial river flame had evolved to such a degree, it still couldn't melt the Nirvana spear. What kind of grade did it have? No matter what grade it was, the celestial river flame could not be refined. Ning Cheng could only put away the Nirvana spear and concentrate on studying the teleportation array. After coming into contact with the laws of space, Ning Cheng's understanding of the Tao of arrays had become completely different from before. After several years of research on the Tao of array formations, coupled with the fusion of the laws of space, Ning Cheng's proficiency in the Tao of array formations soared. After coming into contact with the laws of space, it only took him a month to become a true array Tao master, which he had been unable to break through in the past few years. As long as he had enough materials, he could arrange an array formation that surpassed Starry Sky Grade 9. The more you learn, the more ignorant you become. This sentence was just too appropriate for Ning Cheng. Previously, Ning Cheng thought that as long as he advanced to the array Tao master realm, even if he couldn't accurately modify the teleportation array to a fixed location, he could at least arrange it to meet his requirements, which was to teleport to a place not far from the other end. Only after advancing to become an array Tao master did Ning Cheng realize how ridiculous his idea was. Even though he had advanced to become an array Tao master, he was still unable to change the teleportation array into what he had imagined. After hesitating for a long time, Ning Cheng finally took out the array pattern. Although he was thinking of using this array pattern if he couldn't complete the long-distance teleportation array's one-way teleportation, he still wanted to keep it in his heart. At this moment, he would definitely not be able to complete this teleportation array in a short period of time. He would not be able to do it without using the array pattern. What he was worried about now was not the exhaustion of the array pattern, but whether this array pattern was of a high enough grade. If the grade of the array pattern was not high enough, even if he used it, he would not be able to complete this one-way teleportation array. Opening the jade box, Ning Cheng raised his hand and shot out a faintly discernible circular array pattern. The array pattern landed on the teleportation array like a stone thrown into a calm lake. Circle after circle of ripples spread out, and in just a few breaths, the entire structure of the transmission array appeared in Ning Cheng's mind. The array foundation, the array heart, and even the nature of the laws of space used for it all fell into Ning Cheng's grasp. Ning Cheng immediately immersed himself in it. Some things that were originally blurry became clear under this array pattern. Countless array Dao concepts that he had never come into contact with before were accepted by him at this moment, and then integrated into his own. Ning Cheng subconsciously threw out a few array flags, causing the transmission array to quickly change. An hour later, the rippling array pattern finally disappeared, causing Ning Cheng to suddenly wake up. He wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, he was filled with intense surprise. With the help of the formation pattern, he completed the one-way teleportation. At this point, as long as he threw the permanent essence pill into the array slot, he could activate the teleportation array. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh of relief. For this transmission array, he had spent many years, and now he had finally completed the arrangement of this one-way transmission array. Furthermore, because of this teleportation array, his understanding of array Dao had reached a whole new level. After sealing the teleportation array under the Thorn-Tooth Lake, Ning Cheng returned to Jiangzhou Star. Even if he wanted to leave, he intended to take Luofei and Rulan with him. Before Ning Cheng arrived at Stately River Star, his spiritual consciousness swept towards Zhang Caihe on the public square outside Stately River Star. Not only was Zhang Caihe here, but Ning Rulan, Luofei, and even Ning Ruoqing were also here. Gongxiu Zhu and Bei Junyi, who were in charge of Stately River Star and mysterious Yellow Celestial River, were also here. Opposite them stood a man and a woman. The two had arrogant looks on their faces and seemed to be confronting Zhang Caihe and the others. It shouldn't be a big deal. If it were a big deal, Zhang Caihe would have already sent a message to him. However, Ning Cheng still felt a little unhappy. Even after coming to Stately River Star, they still acted so arrogantly. They even brought out Zhang Caihe. From the looks of it, this man and woman didn't seem to be modest people. Putting away the starry sky wheel, Ning Cheng and Chasing Bull landed on the public square outside Stately River Star. As soon as Ning Cheng returned, Zhang Caihe and the others saw him. Ji Luofei and Ning Rulan quickly came up, with Ji Luofei's eyes filled with longing. Seeing Ning Rulan advance to the Celestial Gatherer realm, Ning Cheng felt very happy. No matter how many cultivation resources he had, if he couldn't convert them into his own strength, it would be useless. Since Ning Rulan had advanced to the Celestial Gatherer realm, it showed that she had been working very hard in secluded cultivation. Ning Ruoqing also felt happy on seeing Ning Cheng come back. She stepped in front of Ning Cheng and spoke with joy, "You came back at the right time. My cultivation has recovered a lot. If that Lu comes again, I'll slap him to death." Zhang Caihe and the others also came over to greet Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng quickly said to Ning Ruoqing, "We'll talk about this later when we get back. I have nothing to do with your Butterfly Mountain, and my Jiangzhou Star doesn't want to have anything to do with your Butterfly Mountain in the future. Please leave." The woman snorted again and said, "Then I'll tell you, we don't have anything to do with each other. My name is Duan Xian, and I come from Butterfly Mountain. This is my cousin, Yin Xiushan, also from Butterfly Mountain. We came here to ask you one thing. Where did that thief Duan Gantai go?" Ning Cheng understood from this woman's words that this was a young lady who always stayed at home in secluded cultivation. She rarely went out and rarely interacted with others. Even if she wanted to inquire about Duan Gantai's whereabouts, she wouldn't say anything about this thief. Wasn't it clear that she wanted to capture Duan Gantai? If he had a friendship with Duan Gantai, she would have provided him with a piece of information. Ning Cheng felt a little angry, but after knowing that this woman was an idiot, his anger disappeared. Getting angry with such a person would only bring trouble to himself. Ning Cheng replied unhurriedly, "How would I know where Duan Gantai went? He is him, and I am me. My Jiangzhou star doesn't have the person you're looking for, so I won't be seeing you off." Hearing Ning Cheng's disrespectful words, Duan Qian's face turned cold. A layer of frost covered her pretty face. Usually, as long as they mentioned the two words Butterfly Mountain, they would be respected and treated as VIPs wherever they went. They never expected that a small Jiangzhou star would dare to put on airs. If not for the strict orders before coming here, Jiangzhou star's Tsang Caihe wouldn't have given them any reason to act up. They had waited outside Jiangzhou star for more than 10 days and would have long since made their move. According to the news we heard, you and Duan Gantai have a good relationship and have worked together several times. Last time, you even participated in the auction in the Devil Domain. The last time Duan Gantai disappeared was after the auction in the Devil Domain. Are you sure you want to help him hide the news? Don't blame me for not reminding you of the consequences of offending my Butterfly Mountain. Maybe in the next moment, your Jiangzhou star will turn into dust. If you take my words as a threat, it's fine. Duan Qian, who felt very dissatisfied with Ning Cheng's attitude, sneered. Ning Cheng's face turned cold. He didn't want to argue with these two inexperienced people, but it didn't mean that others could threaten his Jiangzhou star. Get out of here, or don't blame me for being impolite. So what if it was Butterfly Mountain? Whoever offended his Jiangzhou star, don't blame him for sending them back. You're courting death. Duan Qian almost trembled with anger when she heard Ning Cheng telling her to get out. When had she ever suffered such grievances, especially in a small place like Jiangzhou Star? Chapter 841. It was a middle-aged man in a green robe, dressed like a Confucian scholar. Even though he was a middle-aged man, it did not detract from his extraordinary handsomeness. Butterfly Mountain's Duan Wenbai greets Sect Master Ning. My Butterfly Mountain's disciples have offended you before. On behalf of Butterfly Mountain, I would like to apologize to Sect Master Ning. I hope that Sect Master Ning will not haggle over these juniors. This middle-aged man had an excellent demeanor. After reprimanding Duan Qian and Yin Shushan, he spoke to Ning Cheng in an extremely polite manner. His words were not only polite, but they also made people feel comfortable. After Duan Wenbai greeted Ning Cheng, he cupped his fists towards Tsang Caihe again and said, "This should be the Starry Sky's premier pill emperor, Brother Tsang. It's an honor to see the elegance of the premier pill emperor today." No matter how arrogant Duan Qian and Yin Shushan were, they didn't dare to spout nonsense in front of Duan Wenbai. Now that the two of them heard Duan Wenbai being so polite to Ning Cheng, and even said that the two of them were Ning Cheng's juniors, it immediately caused the two of them to be shocked. Although they had never walked within the starry skies, they were still middle-stage eternal powerhouses. For two eternal-level cultivators to respect Ning Cheng as a senior, wouldn't that make Ning Cheng a terrifying existence? However, when the two of them thought about how their superimposed domains couldn't compare to Ning Cheng's domain, they both felt a little puzzled. It seemed that what Uncle Master Wenbai had said was true, this Ning Cheng really was somewhat powerful. Ning Cheng also cupped his fists and replied, "I dare not, I am the mysterious yellow sect Master Ning Cheng." Ning Cheng also couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The three people from the Butterfly Mountain were either handsome or beautiful. That Duan Gantai also came from Butterfly Mountain, so why was he so ugly? This Duan Wenbai's cultivation was very strong and should not be any weaker than Wu Yuankong. Duan Wenbai saw that Ning Cheng didn't invite him to stately River Star and understood that Ning Cheng didn't have any good impression of Butterfly Mountain. Therefore, he spoke up directly, "I heard that Duan Gantai once had a relationship with Sect Master Ning." After a pause, he added, "This question is a bit presumptuous, I hope Sect Master Ning doesn't mind it." I asked him because Duan Gantai is also a disciple of my Butterfly Mountain. Ning Qing nodded, it's true. I had some problems with Duan Gantai. The reason why we worked together in the Devil Domain was because he had obtained the radish grass, while I could refine the radish grass into Eternal Emperor Continuance pills. After that collaboration, I haven't seen him again. So that's how it is. Duan Wenbai suddenly spoke. He did not know if he believed Ning Cheng's words or not. On the other hand, Duan Xian and Yin Shushan breathed in a sigh of relief. This sect master Ning still wanted Eternal Emperor Continuance pills, which meant that he didn't look like much. Seventh Grand Elder's previous words were probably just to scare them. Ning Qing didn't have a good impression of Duan Gantai, so he naturally wouldn't help Duan Gantai hide anything. He then took out a piece of connecting spirit silk and handed it to Duan Wenbai before saying, "This connecting spirit silk was given to me by Duan Gantai for that brief cooperation. Now that the cooperation is over, if Duan Gantai wants to find me, he would open the connecting spirit silk. Now, I will give this connecting spirit silk to Brother Duan. I hope that Brother Duan can find your Butterfly Mountain disciples as soon as possible." As such, Ning Qing didn't mind using it against Duan Gantai. This connecting spirit silk was of no use to him. If Duan Gantai dared to look for him again, then he could only wait for Duan Wenbai to teach him a lesson. As for the two idiots, Duan Xian and Yin Shushan, even if they managed to stop Duan Gantai, Ning Qing estimated that these two fellows wouldn't be enough to feed Duan Gantai. Seeing that Ning Qing even took out the connecting spirit silk, Duan Wenbai felt overjoyed and quickly took the connecting spirit silk. "Many thanks, Sect Master Ning. Butterfly Mountain welcomes Sect Master Ning at any time. If one day, Sect Master Ning decides to leave this side of the starry sky, remember to take a trip to Butterfly Mountain." Ning Qing froze for a moment. He wanted to leave this part of the starry sky, but what did it have to do with Butterfly Mountain? Duan Wenbai, on seeing Ning Cheng's doubts, quickly said, "There is a starry sky boundary point near my Butterfly Mountain. This boundary point leads to a high-level interface. That's where the people from the Grand Essence Realm came from." Ning Qing looked at Duan Wenbai and asked, "Brother Duan, did your Butterfly Mountain know that people from the Grand Essence Realm went to the mysterious Yellow Starland?" Duan Wenbai faintly smiled. "Of course. My Butterfly Mountain is guarding this boundary point, so how could we not know that someone is coming from there? It's just that the old ancestor has yet to come out of seclusion, so our Butterfly Mountain can only endure it for now. It is all thanks to Sect Master Ning that we managed to eradicate all these outsiders." After saying that, Duan Wenbai bowed to Ning Qing and cupped his fists. Ning Qing looked calm on the surface, but he sneered in his heart. Butterfly Mountain's existence was to guard the boundary point. How fucking shameless. Just by going into seclusion, he had already killed hundreds of millions of cultivators in the mysterious Yellow Starland. How could such a person have the nerve to call himself a boundary point? When he went to the mysterious Yellow Starland with Chuan Xinlo and the others, there wasn't even a shadow of Butterfly Mountain. Even someone like Chuan Xinlo knew that he couldn't let the Ninth Prince's group mess around in this part of the starry sky, so he invited him to the mysterious Yellow Starland. As a guardian, Butterfly Mountain used such a ridiculous excuse to inform the old ancestor to come out of seclusion. From the looks of it, Butterfly Mountain already knew about the existence of the 5 Grand Realms. They stayed at that boundary point and had nothing to do with guarding it. They just wanted to find a chance to leave this place. Ning Qing felt disdain in his heart, but he still spoke with a calm voice, "I don't have the ability to kill the people from the Grand Essence Realm. They had internal strife, and both sides suffered heavy losses. That's why I barely managed to escape from the mysterious Yellow Starland. Otherwise, I would have already died there. Sect Master Ning is too modest. Think about that Ninth Prince, even my Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor might not be able to control him. Yet, Sect Master Ning easily injured him. My Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor specifically told me to invite Sect Master Ning to Butterfly Mountain as a guest when I come to Stately River Star. Duan Wenbai spoke with a straight face. Ning Qing frowned slightly. During the battle in Moi City, no one from Butterfly Mountain should have been there. Yet, Brother Duan seems to have been there in person. Only Shen Mengyan had seen him injure 9th Prince Manjuran. Moreover, Shen Mengyan and Pan Qian had already left this part of the starry sky, so they would never tell on him. Duan Wenbai spoke up with admiration. Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor and the others wanted to leave the boundary point. At my Butterfly Mountain's invitation, the 4 of them came to my Butterfly Mountain as guests and even held a treasure exchange at my Butterfly Mountain. Because of this, I realized just how thrilling the battle in Moi City was. Sect Master Ning single-handedly turned the tide. My Butterfly Mountain felt ashamed apart from admiration. So, it turned out that Chuan Xinlo and the others leaked it. Ning Qing nodded and thought to himself, since your Butterfly Mountain is so shameless, don't say such a shameful thing. After a while, Ning Qing asked again, Brother Duan, I remember that 9 Phoenix Heavenly Emperor didn't leave with Chuan Xinlo and the others, right? How could there be 4 of them? Duan Wenbai chuckled. It seems that Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor returned a breaking boundary talisman to 9 Phoenix Heavenly Emperor. That's why 9 Phoenix Heavenly Emperor didn't leave with Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor and returned to the Grand Spirit Heaven's starry sky first. As for whether she left this place or not, I really don't know. But I'm sure that she didn't go to the boundary point again. Ning Qing cupped his fists. Many thanks for Brother Duan's information. If I go to the boundary point in the future, I will definitely visit Butterfly Mountain. Okay, then I'll be looking forward to Sect Master Ning's arrival. After saying that, he took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Qing. Sect Master Ning, this is my Butterfly Mountain Starry Sky directional jade strip. When Sect Master Ning goes there, just follow the instructions in the jade strip and you will arrive at my Butterfly Mountain. After giving the jade strip to Ning Qing, Duan Wenbai left with Duan Qian and Yin Shushan. Ning Qing didn't invite Duan Wenbai to Stately River Star but returned to the mysterious yellow sect with Zhang Caihe and the others. 7th Elder Taoist, why were you so polite to that surnamed Ning? After leaving Stately River Star, Duan Qian muttered with some unwillingness. Ning Qing dared to tell her to get lost. If not for 7th Elder Taoist, she would have definitely taught that Ning Qing a lesson. So what if he crushed their domains? How could a sect master of a small sect compare to her Butterfly Mountain's methods? Moreover, that Ning Qing had just started looking for Eternal Emperor continuance pills not long ago. Presumably, his cultivation wasn't that high. What was the use of having a strong domain? Duan Wenbai gave a cold snort. You can seek death, but don't pull my Butterfly Mountain into it. I remember that before we came out, we repeatedly told you not to think that just because you came from Butterfly Mountain, you shouldn't be so arrogant. If I hadn't come here in time today, you too would have died a long time ago. At that time, my Butterfly Mountain would have gained another powerful enemy. Seeing the two suppressed by him, Duan Wenbai spoke up with an even harsher voice, that Ning Cheng's cultivation isn't any lower than our ancestors. You two can't even withstand a slap from him. Ah! Duan Qian and Yin Shushan felt truly stunned. They naturally knew about the strength of Butterfly Mountain's ancestor. How could Ning Qing, this seemingly ordinary cultivator, compare to their ancestor? Duan Wenbai's tone turned cold. If he didn't have this ability, the 9th prince would have already killed him in the mysterious Yellow Starland. The reason why our ancestor didn't stop the 9th prince was not only because of the 9th prince's background, but also because he was afraid that the 9th prince and the 9th prince would have suffered heavy losses. But that sect master Ning could seriously injure the 9th prince and return to Stately River Star unscathed. How strong do you think he is? Maybe you aren't familiar with the 9th prince, but you should know about the Traceless Immortal Pond, right? I know about this. When we came out, Master told us not to go to the Traceless Immortal Pond casually. Just like some of the nearby fishes, he flew out like a kite with a broken string. Ning Ching coughed up a mouthful of blood in the middle of the waves. He couldn't even resist. As the waves fell, Ning Ching once again followed the waves and fell into the sea. Fortunately, the horrifying waves didn't come over again. Ning Ching wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and didn't rush out of the sea. Some of the huge fishes in the sea were smashed into pieces by the impact and scattered around Ning Ching. The sea returned to its original appearance, as if the movement just now had never happened. Ning Ching clenched his fists. Although he was only at the early stage eternal realm, his strength could sweep through a starry sky positional plane. But in this place, the aftermath of someone else's fight had almost killed him. Insignificant, he was just too insignificant. What the hell was this place? The starry sky essence chi was so thin, yet the cultivation was so abnormal. That red-haired figure had created such terrifying power with just a casual move. Goo goo, Ning Cheng's stomach growled, and a feeling of hunger washed over him. Even though Ning Cheng was still in the sea, he still felt startled by this feeling. Why did he feel hungry? One had to know that ever since he reached the essence-building realm, this feeling of hunger had disappeared. He had always relied on starry sky essence chi to replenish himself. Only on rare occasions would he eat something. It was all for the sake of his appetite. But now, in this place, he felt hungry. What the hell was going on? Ning Ching quickly took out an airship Dao artifact that he had refined and threw it into the sea. At the same time, he jumped out of the sea and landed on the ship. After cleaning himself up, Ning Ching immediately started to heal himself. It's just that his recovery speed in this place was not as fast as that in the 4 grand starry skies. Not only that, but after he absorbed the permanent essence pill, he felt less hungry, but his cultivation did not change at all. Ning Cheng's heart started to feel a bit gloomy. He vaguely felt that this was caused by the laws of heaven and earth in this place. The laws of heaven and earth here were much stronger than the laws of heaven and earth in the 4 grand starry skies positional plane. Therefore, the effects of his permanent essence pill cultivation were much weaker. Perhaps this place required a higher level of essence chi cultivation. Ning Ching thought of the crystal stone that Yi Jiufeng had given him before she left. He took out the crystal stone and tried to absorb it. In just a few breaths, the crystal stone turned into flying ash in Ning Cheng's hand. Ning Cheng threw away the flying ash in his hand and sighed. He finally understood what was going on. After absorbing the crystal stone, the feeling of hunger suddenly weakened a lot. Moreover, his cultivation also started to rise a little. He could even feel his celestial essence changing, as if it was transforming into another kind of essence chi. Moreover, this essence chi was even more powerful than celestial essence. No wonder that red-haired fellow's attacks were so powerful. That fellow didn't use celestial essence at all, but a higher power. Ning Cheng muttered to himself. Within the 4 grand starry skies, Ning Cheng wasn't afraid of others finding out about the starry sky wheel. In this place, once a treasure like the starry sky wheel was recognized, it would no longer belong to him. Ning Cheng stopped a flight-type magical weapon, but what made him puzzled was that the cultivation of the cultivator on this flight-type magical weapon was even lower than his own. It looked like he only had the cultivation of life and death realm. This cultivator in the life and death realm could not see Ning Cheng's cultivation. Therefore, if he wanted to survive in this place, he would try not to offend anyone. Ning Cheng's flight-type magical weapon did not show any malice, and only made an inquiring gesture from the side. Therefore, after being stopped by Ning Cheng, he took the initiative to stop. I wonder what this Dao friend wants. The life and death cultivator asked in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng returned the courtesy and spoke, I encountered a beast tide before, and lost the map of this part of the sea. I wonder if you could carve a jade slip for me. Even if it was just a question, Ning Cheng had to be careful. He could see that this cultivator seemed to be a celestial essence cultivator and hadn't transformed it into a more powerful force. Even so, he didn't want anyone to know that he came from another place. Naturally, the life and death cultivator didn't hesitate to take out a jade slip and throw it to Ning Cheng. At the same time, he controlled his flight-type magical weapon and quickly flew away. He didn't ask Ning Cheng for any compensation, which made Ning Cheng feel a little relieved. If the other party asked him for compensation, he only had permanent essence pills. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately swept into the jade slip. After a few breaths, Ning Cheng put down the jade slip. This place belonged to the edge of the Grand Essence Sea, and one could say that it was the most worthless corner of the Grand Essence Sea. Not far from this place, there was a sea city called Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. The jade slip looked simple and didn't have any other introduction. It just showed the way to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Through this jade slip, Ning Cheng confirmed that this place was the Grand Essence Realm. The silver-haired woman had told him that the Grand Essence Sea was in the Grand Essence Realm. Moreover, the ninth prince's father, whom he destroyed, seemed to be a powerhouse in the Grand Essence Sea. Ning Cheng then thought of the terrifying sea demons he encountered in the Grand Essence Sea and felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. Those sea demons most likely belonged to the lowest level of existence, yet they almost killed him. How terrifying was the ninth prince's father, who could dominate the Grand Essence Sea. However, Ning Cheng quickly put these thoughts aside. Ning Cheng took out 100 high-grade starry sky crystals and handed them to the cultivators guarding the city before following the crowd into the city. The Essence Chi aura in the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City was much richer, but it was still far from being suitable for cultivation. This city was a little different from the cities Ning Cheng had entered before. After entering the city gate, he didn't see a street but a grand public square. Since there were many people in the public square, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out roughly. Apart from the huge makeshift market, the public square also contained a variety of team information. At the edge of this public square, there were two arc-shaped wide roads, which surrounded the public square and extended into the city. Ning Cheng walked into a shop in the makeshift market, squeezed in front of the array formation restriction counter and said to the shop assistant, "Give me a Grand Essence Sea Introduction Jade Strip and a Geographical Jade Strip. By the way, do you have any good cultivation method jade strips?" When the shop assistant heard those words, he quickly put aside the cultivator in front of him and came to Ning Cheng with a smile. "This friend, what grade of cultivation method jade strip do you want? Are there any requirements for spiritual root attributes? The cultivation method jade strips I have here are definitely better than the ones in other places. If you want to buy cultivation method jade strips, then coming to me is the right choice." Ning Cheng naturally didn't want to buy cultivation method jade strips to switch to other cultivation methods. Rather, he wanted to gain some understanding of the cultivation levels in this place. Just like when he first arrived in the Starry Skies, he didn't understand the cultivation levels in the Starry Skies at all. Only after asking Lanya did he have a general impression of it. "I don't care about spiritual root attributes. How far can you cultivate the highest grade cultivation method here?" Ning Cheng hesitated before asking. Hearing Ning Cheng ask about the highest grade cultivation method without caring about spiritual root attributes, the shop assistant's eyes lit up and spoke up with even more politeness. "I have a Dao sculpting cultivation method, the Broken Jade Record. This cultivation method can even help you increase your chances of successfully reaching Dao sculpting." While talking, the shop assistant took out a jade box and 2 jade strips. "These 2 jade strips come with you. Don't brag. Who would dare to cultivate the Broken Jade Record? It's a cultivation method that puts you to death first." A disdainful voice came from the crowd, but Ning Cheng heard it clearly. Ning Cheng had heard about Dao sculpting cultivation methods once. Chuan Xinlo had said that he had successfully reached Dao confirming realm, but Ning Ruoqing had ridiculed him for being a Dao sculpting cultivator, or someone who hadn't even reached Dao sculpting realm. Ning Cheng knew that this Dao sculpting cultivation method definitely wasn't the highest grade cultivation method, but he still asked, how much is this broken jade record? 110,000 spirit crystals. The shop assistant quickly replied. Was that thing called spirit crystals? Ning Cheng immediately recalled that his celestial river was also a spirit flame. Perhaps this place had something to do with the word spirit. I don't have any spirit crystals. Can I use this instead? Ning Cheng said and took out a starry sky crystal. He still had more than 10 million of these things. In fact, what he really wanted to buy were the 2 jade strips that came with it. When the shop assistant saw the crystal Ning Cheng took out, his expression immediately turned ugly and spoke up in a cold voice, "Are you going to use this to buy a cultivation method?" Yeah. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment but still nodded. He originally wanted to take out permanent essence pills, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. At least, he didn't see anyone else using permanent essence pills. The shop assistant put away the jade box containing the cultivation method as quickly as possible and spoke to Ning Cheng in a cold voice, "Sorry, we don't accept such low-level things." Ha ha ha. Bursts of laughter erupted in the store. Someone actually wanted to use low-level crystals to buy a high-level cultivation method. Chapter 844. Give me a jade strip with a map of the Grand Essence ruins. A deep voice came over, immediately suppressing the laughter in the shop. After this sound, Ning Cheng heard the pata, pata footsteps coming into the shop. He was a burly man with messy hair and was dressed in sackcloth. There was a gourd hanging on his waist and an incomparably thick iron rod on his back. One end of the iron rod was a little dark and emitted a strong murderous and bloody aura. It was obvious how many souls had died under this iron rod. What was even stranger was that this person was not wearing shoes. Other people would not make a sound when they walked barefoot, but this person's footsteps were not only loud, but also heavy. Ning Cheng looked at this 2-meter-tall burly man, and immediately thought of Pan Qian. Of course, compared to Pan Qian, this burly man was nothing. Moreover, Ning Cheng couldn't see through this person's cultivation. Moreover, this person seemed to have another kind of power within him, without any celestial essence or spiritual consciousness fluctuations. Alright, 100 low-grade divine crystals. This is my shop's latest map of the Grand Essence ruins. I guarantee that it's more complete than the maps sold elsewhere. Moreover, the price is also the cheapest. The shop assistant seemed to be afraid of this big man and quickly took out a jade strip and handed it to him. Even though it was a deal worth 3 divine crystals, the shop assistant still had a smile on his face. The man nodded, threw a crystal stone on the ground, picked up the jade slip, and walked out with a series of clattering sounds. Ning Cheng saw that this crystal stone looked similar to the crystal stone he had used before. It should be a high-grade crystal stone, which made him realize that a high-grade spirit crystal could be exchanged for 100 low-grade spirit crystals. After the man left, someone in the shop muttered softly, "He's MO. Did you kill an early-stage eternal martial cultivator with a single slap last time?" Of course it's him. MO is actually very easy to talk to and doesn't like to cause trouble. He's also very loyal. Last time, that person used his cultivation to bully others and was killed by MO, someone explained. He just bought a jade strip about the Grand Essence ruins. Does he want to go to the Grand Essence ruins? He's a martial cultivator. What's wrong with being a martial cultivator? He wasn't the only martial cultivator going to the Grand Essence ruins. To go to that kind of place, martial cultivation was not important at all. What was important was luck. If you're unlucky, so what if you're a second-step Dao integration expert? It's also the character for death. Don't joke around. Would a Dao perfection expert go to the Grand Essence ruins? I'm not joking. Such a thing really happened. Ning Cheng did not stay in the shop to listen to the discussions of the other people. Walking out of the shop, he swept his gaze towards the martial cultivator called Mo and followed him. When Ning Cheng saw Mo walk to a corner of the public square, he also quickly walked over. Then, he saw Mo take out a pile of divine crystals and put them on a table. The cultivator sitting at the table put away the pile of divine crystals and gave Mo a jade token. Mo grabbed the jade token and walked to the side to sit down. There were already many cultivators sitting around him. Just now, when Mo took out the spirit crystals, Ning Cheng had already counted them from the side. Mo had taken out at least tens of thousands of spirit crystals. After Mo sat down, a few more people came over to pay the divine crystals and sat beside him. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on a huge array formation screen next to the table. When he glanced over the contents of the array formation screen, he immediately came to an understanding in his heart. After paying the spirit crystals, one would have to follow everyone to a teleportation array and then use that teleportation array to reach the Grand Essence ruins or leave the Boundary Essence Sea from there. Ning Cheng had no idea what kind of place the Grand Essence ruins was. Even if he knew, Ning Cheng didn't have any spirit crystals to go there. Not to mention 10,000 spirit crystals, Ning Cheng couldn't even take out a single spirit crystal. After wandering around the public square for a long time and asking a few cultivators, Ning Cheng gradually learned about this place. This place was the edge of the Grand Essence Realm's edge. The cultivators here generally came to the Grand Essence Sea to search for treasures or to hunt demonic beasts. Because the competition here wasn't very fierce, the safety of cultivators here was more guaranteed compared to other places. Therefore, many cultivators with low cultivation liked to come to this place. The real place to find treasures was the Grand Essence Ruins. The Grand Essence Ruins was the most famous ancient ruin in the Grand Essence realm. This place was boundless, and no one knew if the Grand Essence Ruins had an end or where the end was. After entering the Grand Essence Ruins, one's spiritual consciousness would be restricted. But as for what treasures the Grand Essence Ruins contained, Ning Cheng asked a few cultivators, but they could only say things like high-grade spirit artifacts, ancient rings, and the like. As for how to leave the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Ning Cheng also asked a few cultivators. The answer he got was that there was no directional jade strip to leave the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Even if one wanted to venture into the Grand Essence Sea, one couldn't go too far away from the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Otherwise, one might not be able to find the way back. Once one got lost in the Grand Essence Sea, one could only wait for death. Junior Apprentice Sister Wuxia, who is this? A brown-robed man standing next to Nalan Wuxia asked with a frown. It's an acquaintance. Senior Apprentice Brother Tao, Senior Apprentice Brother Yu, Senior Apprentice Sister Cyan, you can go to the merchant house first. I'll have a few words with Senior Apprentice Brother Ning first. Nalan Wuxia quickly spoke up, unable to restrain the joy in her eyes. The brown-robed man frowned slightly, but soon smiled and said, Junior Apprentice Sister Wuxia, don't be so polite. Your friend is also our friend. Why don't we all go to the restaurant and have a seat? Also, invite your friend over. I'll be the host this time. Nalan Wuxia saw Ning Cheng put away the stall and understood that Ning Cheng didn't have many spirit crystals on him. After hearing this, she quickly looked at Ning Cheng and asked, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning Cheng, why don't we go and have a seat together? Senior Apprentice Brother Tao Xing, Senior Apprentice Brother Yu Cheng, and Senior Apprentice Sister Li Cyan are all my friends. Why don't you join us in the future? That way, everyone can take care of each other. No need. You guys go ahead. I'll be leaving. Ning Cheng put the things into his ring and turned to leave. Although Nalan Wuxia had gone to find him to apologize to him back in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Although he didn't care about the past, he never thought about becoming friends with people like Nalan Wuxia. Nalan Wuxia only had a late-stage Heaven's Mandate cultivation, while Tao Xing and Yu Cheng were at the middle stage and late-stage Heaven-seated realm respectively. Even Li Cyan was at the early-stage Heaven-seated realm. To be honest, if Ning Cheng had a cultivation in the heavens mandate realm, he would never team up with 3 cultivators with much higher cultivation than him. Seeing Ning Cheng turn around to leave, Nalan Rushue's eyes flashed with sadness. But she still called out, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, do you know that senior apprentice sister Yan Ji is looking for you?" "Yan Ji?" Ning Cheng suddenly stopped and asked with a happy expression, "Did you see Yan Ji? Where is she?" Nalan Rushue on seeing Ning Cheng change so quickly felt even more sad in her heart. She hesitated for a moment before speaking, "I'll tell you about it later, or..." Ning Cheng immediately understood that Nalan Rushue wanted to talk to him alone. He was just about to ask Nalan Rushue to leave with him when the brown-robed cultivator named Tao Xing spoke up again, "Junior apprentice sister Rushue, why don't we go to the S&C restaurant together?" Nalan Rushue looked at Ning Cheng with some embarrassment. Her eyes clearly showed that she wanted to invite Ning Cheng to go together. Ning Cheng felt a little strange in his heart. He knew a bit about Nalan Rushue's temperament. Tao Xing on seeing Nalan Rushue speak in such a manner, also politely asked Ning Cheng. Seeing that he did not even hand over the menu, Ning Cheng knew that he was just pretending to be polite. "No, I don't care much about eating." Ning Cheng flatly refused. Tao Xing's eyes flashed with a trace of unhappiness. In his view, since Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue were friends, then his cultivation would obviously not be too high. But now Ning Cheng did not even address him respectfully, and even spoke in such an ordinary tone. After letting Yu Cheng and Li Xian order a few more dishes, the waiter of the restaurant took the menu away. Ning Cheng had already noticed that the dishes that Tao Xing had ordered were all relatively common. The most expensive dishes only cost a little more than 100 divinity crystals, and all the dishes they ordered added up to less than 1,000 divinity crystals. The waiter served the dishes very quickly. They indeed looked, smelled, and tasted great. Moreover, streams of dense essence energy were released. Even without eating it, one could tell that these things could not only fill one's stomach, but also increase one's cultivation. "Senior apprentice brother Ning, you eat." Nalan Rushue remembered to call out to Ning Cheng. Tao Xing also spoke up with a smile, "That's right, junior apprentice brother Ning does not need to be so polite. You've never eaten here before, right?" It was very difficult for loose cultivators to come here for a meal. Ordinary cultivators simply could not afford the prices here. This plate of roasted starless flower rabbit paw is the most expensive. Junior Martial Sister Rushue and Junior Martial Sister Shuyan are women, so they should eat more. We can eat something else. Ning Cheng was just about to pick up a piece of roasted starless flower rabbit paw, but when he heard Tao Xing's words, he immediately felt unhappy in his heart. It was as if he was living off a woman. She clearly saw that he was about to make a move on the roasted starless flower rabbit, yet she still said such meaningless words. "Waiter, come over here." Ning Cheng put down the fork in his hand, and called the waiter over. "Is there anything else you need?" The waiter came very quickly. Ning Cheng took out a pot of wine and handed it to the waiter before saying, "Go and show your boss how many spirit crystals this pot can be exchanged for." "Okay." The waiter quickly picked up the pot of wine and left. Seeing Ning Cheng not eating, Nalan Rushue felt a little embarrassed. She sat there, not knowing if she should eat or not. "Junior Martial Sister Rushue, don't stand on ceremony. Call your friend to eat." Tao Xing and the others had already started. After a while, the waiter came over with a middle-aged male cultivator. "This Dao friend, is that pot of wine yours?" The middle-aged male cultivator came up to Ning Cheng and spoke with cupped fists, speaking in a very polite tone. Ning Cheng nodded, "Yes, it's mine." Chapter 846. We went to that teleportation array, but after we dismantled some of the devices, we couldn't reinstall them. Even if we forcibly installed them, we wouldn't be able to activate the teleportation array. Nalan Rushue spoke in a low voice. Ning Cheng shook his head secretly. The level of that teleportation array was ridiculously high. Without that heaven-defying array pattern, even he couldn't activate the Thorn-Tooth Lake's teleportation array in one direction. In fact, even after he used that array pattern, the teleportation array's one-way activation wasn't perfect. He had been forcefully teleported here. If it had been someone else, they might have been torn apart during the spatial shift. But now that Yan Ji dismantled the teleportation array, not to mention Yan Ji and Nalan Rushue, even he couldn't reinstall it with his current proficiency in array formations. Dismantling it was equivalent to destroying the spatial law chains constructed by the teleportation array. Without reaching a certain level of proficiency in the Tao of arrays, one wouldn't be able to install it. Unless Yan Ji dismantled a place that had nothing to do with the spatial law chains, which was obviously impossible. If Yan Ji dismantled a place that had nothing to do with the spatial law chains, then she and Nalan Rushue would have already teleported away. When we couldn't restore the teleportation array, senior apprentice sister Yan Ji realized that our proficiency in the Tao of arrays was too low. We desperately tried to learn the Tao of arrays, but how could the Tao of arrays be so easy to learn? Moreover, high-grade teleportation arrays also involve the laws of space. To learn more advanced laws, senior apprentice sister Yan Ji decided to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. I heard that the Grand Essence Ruins contains countless spirit techniques, laws, and treasures. It's the best place for cultivation. Nalan Rushue sighed. Why didn't you go? When Ning Cheng heard Yan Ji's reason for going to the Grand Essence Ruins, he understood that this was her personality. Yan Ji was the kind of stubborn person who liked to rely on herself for everything. Nalan Rushue lowered her head. It takes nearly 100,000 spirit crystals to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. Yan Ji and I have been adventuring around here for so many years and barely managed to save 200,000 spirit crystals. It was only by chance that we came across a very expensive divine grass called Azura Heavenly Ginseng. Ning Cheng understood that Yan Ji's travel expenses to the Grand Essence Ruins came from her and Nalan Rushue. He asked with some doubt, I saw someone waiting at the public square at the entrance of the Boundary Essence City waiting for the airship to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. It seems that it only costs about 10,000 spirit crystals. Nalan Rushue shook her head and said, that airship doesn't go directly to the Grand Essence Ruins but to a teleportation array cluster. Nalan Rushue nodded, many people know about it. But there are very few cultivators who can find wood origin crystals on Scarlet Branch Island. Then let's go. Why not? Ning Cheng said with certainty. As long as there were wood origin crystals, he would naturally go there. In his eyes, 3 heaven-seated cultivators were nothing but ants. Ah! Nalan Rushue looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. Knowing that Tao Xing and the other 2 were heaven-seated powerhouses, why would he team up with them? Did Ning Cheng also advance to the heaven-seated realm? But it was very likely. Ning Cheng's talent wasn't any weaker than Yan Ji's. Since Yan Ji advanced to the heaven-seated realm, why couldn't Ning Cheng advance to the heaven-seated realm? Ning Cheng didn't explain the reason and instead asked, Junior Apprentice Sister Rushue, I know that the Grand Essence Realm is a higher-level positional plane compared to our 4 grand starry skies. Do you know what the highest level of cultivation is here? After asking, Ning Cheng looked at Nalan Rushue with a slightly nervous expression. After seeing that red-haired powerhouse in the Grand Essence Sea, he understood that his strength wasn't worth mentioning in this place. Nalan Rushue spoke up cautiously, I used to think that cultivating to the full circle of the Eternal Realm was the highest level. But after coming here, I realized that the full circle of the Eternal Realm hasn't opened the real door to cultivation. Ning Cheng had already prepared himself for this. But after hearing these words, he still felt a little disappointed. He had been cultivating for so long, but he still hadn't opened the door. Nalan Rushua took in a deep breath. I heard that in the Grand Essence realm, only the cultivators who have started to reach Tao confirming can barely be considered as powerhouses. Tao confirming? Are you talking about Tao sculpting powerhouses? Ning Qing asked in a deep voice. Nalan Rushua shook her head. No, Tao sculpting is just the first step to reaching Tao confirming. It is said that there are 3 steps to reaching Tao confirming. Which 3 steps? Ning Qing asked with some eagerness. Nalan Rushua felt Ning Cheng's truthfulness. He was no longer a figure she couldn't see. Wasn't she just as eager to learn about the 3 steps to reaching Tao confirming? The first step to reaching Tao confirming is Tao sculpting, Tao birth, Tao transformation. Without waiting for Nalan Rushua to finish speaking, Ning Cheng interrupted her again. So Tao sculpting is just an initial realm and the first step to reaching Tao confirming? Nalan Rushua nodded. Yes, a Tao birth powerhouse once came to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, and I saw him from afar. What about the second step? When Ning Cheng heard about the 3 steps to reaching Tao confirming, his heart grew hotter and hotter. He had the mysterious yellow bead, and one day, he would reach the peak of the 3rd step. I heard that after transforming Tao into essence, one can take the 2nd step. The 2nd step to reaching Tao confirming is Tao essence, primordial chaos, Tao integration. When Ning Cheng heard this, he suddenly recalled the words he heard in the shop before. Someone said that a Tao integration powerhouse had also gone to the Grand Essence ruins. If even a Tao integration powerhouse was only at the 2nd step, then how strong would a 3rd step powerhouse be? Seeing Ning Cheng's eager gaze, Nalan Rushua's heart trembled. But soon, she sobered up. Ning Cheng's gaze wasn't for her, but for the 3rd step Tao confirming. When she felt the celestial essence power in her body crazily overlay, and her spiritual consciousness expanded endlessly, she knew that she had successfully advanced to the heaven-seated realm. When the thunder tribulation dissipated, Nalan Rushua quickly cleaned herself and put on a clean set of clothes. Only then did she have time to check what Ning Cheng was doing. Seeing Ning Cheng in secluded cultivation in a temporary cave on the side, Nalan Rushua didn't disturb him and continued to consolidate her cultivation. There were too many permanent essence pills here, which made it the best place to consolidate her cultivation. When Nalan Rushua finished her tribulation and advanced to the heaven-seated realm, Ning Cheng knew about it. However, Ning Cheng didn't come out. He was already at the full circle of early-stage eternal realm. But after the meal at the Essence Sea restaurant, he felt that he was about to break through to the middle-stage eternal realm. Now that he had 10,000 spirit crystals on him, coupled with the spiritual gathering array arranged by permanent essence pills, Ning Cheng's advancement to the middle stage eternal realm was almost a foregone conclusion. Feeling the surging celestial essence in his sea of consciousness, which had grown to another level, Ning Cheng felt very satisfied. Ning Cheng felt very satisfied in his heart. The higher one's cultivation went, even if it was just a small advancement, it would make a huge difference. Moreover, his celestial essence had yet to transform into spirit essence. Once it transformed, his cultivation would at least double. Ning Cheng didn't plan to transform into spirit essence right now. He only had a few thousand spirit crystals on him, which definitely wouldn't be enough. His cultivation path was that of a glutton, and he would need a lot of spirit crystals to transform into spirit essence in the future. Therefore, it would be best to prepare all the cultivation resources and then transform them in one go. Seeing Ning Cheng come out and put away the cave's weapon, Nalan Rushua quickly stood up. Congratulations on successfully advancing to the heaven-seated realm. Ning Cheng saw Nalan Rushua coming over and spoke with a smile. Nalan Rushua didn't ask about Ning Cheng's cultivation. She felt sure that Ning Cheng's cultivation far surpassed hers. Many thanks, senior apprentice brother Ning. Otherwise, even if I wanted to advance to the heaven-seated realm, I wouldn't have done it this quickly. Nalan Rushua knew that it was all thanks to Ning Cheng that she could advance to the heaven-seated realm. You can put away the permanent essence pills here. Keep them for cultivation in the future. We've been here for 3 days, and Tao Xing and the others must be a little impatient. Ning Cheng nodded and said. Nalan Rushua's aptitude truly went without saying. After the airship flew out of Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Yuqing finally noticed that Nalan Rushua's cultivation had already reached the early stage heaven-seated realm. Nalan Rushua smiled reluctantly. Yeah, I didn't expect Senior Apprentice Brother Yuqing, Senior Apprentice Brother Tao Xing, and Senior Apprentice Sister Xian to already reach the heaven-seated realm. Tao Xing replied awkwardly, yes, we were afraid that you would feel pressured, so we didn't tell you the specific cultivation level. Now, everyone is at the sky realm. Speaking till here, Tao Xing seemed to have thought of something, as he subconsciously looked at Ning Cheng. Nalan Rushua had always been at the late-stage heavens mandate realm, so how could she advance to the heaven-seated realm as soon as she saw Ning Cheng? Could it be that this Ning Cheng's cultivation was higher than them, but they could not see through it? At the thought that Ning Cheng's cultivation was higher than theirs, Tao Xing's heart started to beat like a drum. He really couldn't determine Ning Cheng's cultivation. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning must also be in the heaven-seated realm, right? Li Xian apparently had the same thoughts as Tao Xing and even changed the way she addressed Ning Cheng to Senior Apprentice Brother. Ning Cheng chuckled, I'm not in the heaven-seated realm. Hearing Ning Cheng say that he wasn't in the heaven-seated realm, Tao Xing and the other two finally felt relieved. Although they did not fear Ning Cheng if he was in the heaven-seated realm, it would still make things a lot more troublesome. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.